The story starts in New Jersey in 1995, where Chris Brander, an overweight high school senior, sits in his room surrounded by pictures of his classmate and best friend Jamie Palomino. While singing and eating, he writes a confession of love in Jamie's yearbook. After finishing the message,
I swear. Raise your hand if your brother's a homo.
He rides his bike to Jamie's house but is surprised to find his entire class already there. When Chris asks what is happening, his friends tell him that Jamie's parents are throwing her a graduation party. Feeling nervous because of the crowd, Chris hesitates, but his friends encourage him and tell him this is the perfect opportunity to tell Jamie how he feels. As soon as Jamie sees him, she gets excited and takes him to her room. She jumps onto her bed while Chris sits beside her and prepares to confess his feelings.
Oh my God, we graduated!
There's something that,
Before he can say anything, Tim, a jock who is slightly drunk, barges in, pushes Chris aside, and asks Jamie to sign his yearbook. Jamie tells him to come back later, and he leaves. Just as Chris gets another chance, Dusty enters carrying a guitar and announces that he has written a song for Jamie. While performing, he becomes overly dramatic and starts shouting at himself. Chris finally tells him to leave.
God damn it! Maybe you should come back another time when you're... Oh, no, I got it.
After Dusty goes, Jamie gives Chris a Friends Forever shirt and asks him to wear it. She becomes excited when she sees him in it and wants to show her mother. Before leaving the room, Chris asks her to read what he has written in her yearbook. As Jamie begins reading, Chris suddenly realizes that the yearbook has accidentally been switched with Tim's. Chris rushes outside and finds Tim reading the confession aloud while everyone laughs at him.
That's a joke! That's a joke between me...
But I want to be more than that. Be Chris Brander, BFF.
Him wearing the Friends Forever shirt only makes the situation worse, and the crowd laughs even harder. Humiliated and close to tears, Chris heads toward the door. Jamie follows him and gently tells him that she loves him too, but only like a brother. She kisses him on the cheek, and the crowd continues making fun of him. Jamie tries to stop them, but Chris rides away on his bike, declaring that he will never return and promising that he will become more successful than everyone else. The story then jumps to 2005. Chris has transformed completely, losing weight and becoming attractive. He now lives in Los Angeles and works as a successful record producer. Having become a womanizer, he breaks up with one woman at a club and immediately starts flirting with another.
I don't know why you just don't take me serious. Guilty as charged.
Later, while leaving a skating rink with his friend Ray, Chris hears that Ray is planning to meet a girl for lunch the next day. Chris advises him to meet her that same night and avoid becoming friends with her. When Ray asks how he knows this, Chris explains that a girl in high school once hurt him badly.
How will I know? Look, it doesn't matter, okay? Some chick effed me up in high school bad.
The next day, Chris visits his office to hand out Christmas gifts to his coworkers and his boss, KC. KC is busy bullying another employee and making him clean the office carpet when Chris arrives. After welcoming him warmly, KC shows him a video of pop star Samantha James and insists that Chris sign her for a new album. Chris warns him that Samantha is completely crazy and that one date with her once landed him in the hospital. Casey does not care and points out that Samantha is currently one of the biggest stars around. Since Chris has no choice, he visits the recording studio.
You don't make me happy, I'm gonna find somebody else to make me happy.
It was one date, and I ended up in the hospital.
Everyone is already frustrated with Samantha's behavior. When a producer tries to give her advice, she immediately starts yelling and accusing him of changing the settings. Fed up, the producer quits and leaves Samantha in Chris's hands. The moment Samantha sees Chris, she rushes toward him, jumps into his arms, and forcefully kisses him. She pushes him onto a couch and starts trying to convince him to accompany her to Paris. Reluctantly, Chris agrees. During the flight,
That's cool.
Samantha sings a song for him while he sits there looking uncomfortable. She then decides to heat up some food in the oven, accidentally starting a fire on the plane. The emergency forces the pilot to land nearby. Chris soon discovers that they have landed close to his hometown in New Jersey. When he arrives home with Samantha, his mother Carol is overwhelmed with excitement. She cries, shouts, and welcomes him back after 10 years away. While sitting in the living room, Chris comments that he does not remember New Jersey being so cold. Carol agrees and says the weather is unusually cold this year. Samantha continues acting clingy and strange throughout the conversation.
I mean, isn't Chris great? Out to Los Angeles, yeah. It's been,
Soon, Chris's younger brother Mike walks in and is shocked to see Samantha sitting in their house. He immediately admits that he has a huge crush on her and even keeps a poster of her in his bedroom.
I had
have your poster on my wall, but you...
Or do you have anything else besides him? Because...
Feeling uncomfortable, Chris takes Samantha to a local bar, where he unexpectedly reunites with his old friends Clark and Darla. They happily greet each other, and Clark reveals that he and Darla are now married and have a son named TJ. Samantha eagerly joins the conversation, though her behavior makes everyone uncomfortable. While she is in the restroom, Tim arrives. He is now bald, but still wears his old varsity jacket from high school. After recognizing Chris, he says hello and casually asks him for $5, which Chris gives him. As they continue talking,
Hey, you got $5? I can... Bye-bye now. Class of 85!
Jamie, who now works as a bartender at the bar, notices Chris from behind the counter. She quickly ducks down to avoid being seen, but Chris spots her and walks over to say hello. Jamie comes out from behind the counter and hugs Chris, amazed by how much he has changed. She comments on his new look and asks how long he plans to stay in town. Chris tells her that he is only staying for one night. Before they can talk much more, Samantha arrives and takes Chris away.
No, I'm living with my parents.
What are you doing down there?
Chris, hi!
As they prepare to leave, Tim starts chatting with Chris and points out how different he looks now. He says that any girl would probably date him, including Jamie. Encouraged by this, Chris goes back to Jamie and asks what she is doing the next day. Jamie suggests meeting for lunch, and although Chris acts reluctant, he agrees and says he will pick her up. The next morning, Chris heads to Mike's room. As soon as Mike wakes up, the brothers start fighting. Chris eventually gains the upper hand and tells Mike that he needs him to keep Samantha occupied for the entire day. He then convinces Samantha that she should spend time reconnecting with her fans and sends her to the mall with Mike.
You're not coming with me?
No, watch your face.
Meanwhile, Chris rents a Porsche and goes to pick up Jamie. Jamie takes him to an old diner they used to visit together years ago. The waitress immediately recognizes them and says she will be back shortly. She then asks Chris why he left town 10 years ago and why he seems so angry with her. Chris brushes it off and says that it happened a long time ago and that he is no longer the awkward guy he used to be. When Jamie asks about his career, Chris starts bragging about all the celebrities he knows and works with. Later, when Jamie begins talking about studying to become a teacher, Chris interrupts her to answer a phone call, making her realize just how much he has changed.
Thanks for reminding me I was fat.
You're never a dweeb, Chris.
On the phone, Chris tells Mike that he is treating Jamie the same way her exes treated her. Mike asks if he can go to Paris with Samantha instead, but Chris refuses and hangs up. At the same time, Mike accidentally shocks Samantha with her own taser, causing her to fall over. Back at the diner, the waitress returns with a huge stack of pancakes for Chris. He tells her that he cannot eat that kind of food anymore. Jamie thinks he is being rude and offers him some of her meal, but Chris declines and says he will just drink water.
The pancakes are fine. He's just kidding.
But she's rude. She's rude.
Later, Chris drives Jamie home and walks her to the front door. He tries to kiss her, but both of them become awkward and end up hugging instead. After returning to his car, Chris starts yelling at himself for acting so strangely. Unfortunately, Jamie has forgotten her gloves in the car and witnesses the entire outburst.
What the hell?
Chris visits Clark at his office while he is seeing a patient. He complains that the date went terribly and felt awkward from beginning to end. Clark tells him that he is right back in the friend zone where he left off 10 years earlier. When Chris returns home, Mike takes him to his room and warns him that there is a small problem. Chris finds Samantha acting strange and eating toothpaste. When he asks Mike what happened, Mike explains that she took a bad fall. The brothers immediately start fighting again, but are interrupted by a phone call from KC. When KC asks how Samantha is doing, Chris lies and says everything is fine.
Hey! Hello?
Yeah.
Long story short, she fell.
At night, Chris calls Jamie and apologizes for his behavior. He then invites her to go ice skating, claiming that he has become very good at it and skates regularly. At the skating rink, Chris repeatedly falls and blames the rental skates. Jamie tries to help him, but he arrogantly insists that he already knows how to skate. During their conversation, Chris asks about her love life. Jamie reveals that she is currently single. Chris comments that she used to date jerks in high school. When Jamie asks about his own relationships, he says that he is not seeing anyone either. Trying to make a romantic move, Chris leans in for a kiss, but instead, their heads collide and both of them fall onto the ice. A man nearby notices them and asks if they want to join a hockey game because his team is short on players. Once the game begins, Chris struggles badly and keeps making mistakes. The children on the rink quickly start teasing him and making fun of his poor skating. During a team huddle, they nickname him Suckster because of how badly he is playing. Determined to prove himself, Chris promises to show them what he can do. When the game resumes, Chris aggressively pushes players aside and charges toward the goal. Unfortunately, the puck smashes directly into his face and injures him. As everyone chants "Suckster," paramedics arrive to help. Jamie runs over, but the sight of blood causes her to faint. Luckily, Dusty, who is now a paramedic, catches her before she hits the ground. Dusty and Jamie immediately recognize each other. Dusty begins flirting with her and manages to impress her.
Thanks for saving me.
Oh, yeah.
Watching this from the stretcher, Chris becomes jealous and irritated. Things get even worse when his stretcher slips away and causes him more pain. Inside the ambulance, Chris cannot speak properly because of his injury. Dusty takes the opportunity to tell Jamie that he has moved back to town. He then asks her out and successfully gets her phone number.
We should hang out. Have lunch sometime.
While getting dental work done, Chris tells Clark everything that happened, including Dusty's sudden return. Clark warns him that Dusty is genuine, kind, and serious competition. He points out that Jamie is more mature now and may be interested in someone like Dusty. Chris decides that if Jamie likes nice guys, then he will become one too.
That I'm gonna show her the biggest pussy she's ever seen.
Huh? Just like your old yearbook picture.
Meanwhile, Mike brings Samantha some snacks and magazines. Samantha complains that she is bored because there is nothing to do in town. As they continue talking, Mike starts giving her a massage. Chris walks in and immediately pushes Mike away. As he is wearing a dental retainer, both Mike and Samantha start laughing and calling him a dork. Annoyed, Chris lunges at Mike, but Carol interrupts by telling him that Jamie has sent a get-well-soon basket. Chris then calls Jamie and asks if she would like to watch a romantic movie with him that evening. Jamie is surprised by the invitation. Mike secretly listens to the conversation on another phone and constantly mocks Chris.
Just a second.
Dude, I think she left you hanging.
During the call, Dusty phones Jamie as well. Jamie agrees to the movie and tells Chris that she will pick him up. Later, Chris enters his room and finds Samantha ready for the flight to Paris. Chris manipulates her that performing at an open mic event will help her grow as an artist. Once she agrees, he quickly sends her off with Mike and falsely promises that he will join them later. Chris then changes into some of his old clothes and waits for Jamie. When she arrives, he is shocked to discover that Dusty is with her. Dusty happily explains that he loves the movie they are going to watch and finds it incredibly touching.
Dusty, hey, why?
Nice outfit, by the way. Rock and roll.
Jamie asks if it is okay for Dusty to come along. Chris reluctantly says yes. Dusty then enthusiastically invites Carol to join them as well. The four of them head to the movie together. During an emotional scene, Jamie holds Dusty's hand while Carol grabs Chris's hand. Watching Jamie and Dusty together makes Chris even more frustrated. At the same time, Samantha takes the stage at the open mic event and is immediately met with hostility from the audience. After the movie, Dusty offers to drop everyone home. During the ride, he impresses both Jamie and Carol by talking about how he volunteered to work at the hospital during the holidays so his coworkers could spend time with their families. Later that evening, Chris, Jamie, and Carol sit together watching old videos from Chris's high school days. Afterward, Chris goes to drop Jamie. In the car, Chris plays an old cassette tape that Jamie once gave him, and the two start having a good time. Once Jamie leaves, Mike tells Chris that he took Samantha to a heavy metal gathering where she ended up getting into a fight with the audience. The next morning, Chris gets ready to finally confess his feelings to Jamie. He takes the old letter and prepares to visit her. When Mike enters the room, Chris tells him to tell Samantha that he has gone out for work if she asks where he is. Unfortunately, Samantha is already awake and overhears the entire conversation.
Why? But if she wakes up, just tell her I'll be back in a bit. I love you. I love you too.
As Chris gets ready to leave, his Porsche refuses to start because of the cold weather, forcing him to ride his old bicycle to Jamie's house instead. When he arrives, he discovers that Dusty is already there entertaining everyone. Dusty charms the guests and even performs a song for Jamie. Seeing how popular Dusty is, Chris becomes discouraged and quietly leaves his letter on a nearby table. Back at Chris's house, Samantha corners Mike and demands to know where Chris has gone. Mike initially refuses to tell her anything, but after Samantha kisses him, he immediately reveals that Chris is with Jamie. Meanwhile, Chris meets up with Clark and complains that everyone seems to love Dusty. He says that there is no way he can compete with someone like him. Clark disagrees and reminds Chris that he is a successful Hollywood producer who dates models, while Dusty is just Dusty. Feeling encouraged, Chris heads back out to find Jamie. He arrives while Jamie is singing Christmas songs with her family. Suddenly, Samantha appears in a furious rage and crashes her car through Jamie's fence, destroying the family's Christmas decorations. Samantha jumps out of the vehicle and attacks Jamie, accusing her of stealing Chris away from her. As she is dragged off, Samantha screams that she will get Chris fired. Chris tries to calm her down, but she punches him in the throat before driving away. On her way out, she destroys even more decorations, setting the Santa statue on fire. Back at home, Chris lies in bed completely embarrassed. He ignores all of Samantha's messages as she repeatedly apologizes. Later, there is a knock at the door. To his surprise, it is Jamie. Chris immediately apologizes and offers to pay for all the damage. Jamie tells him that she is not angry and shows him the letter he left behind. The two spend the evening talking, sharing ice cream, and looking through old photographs together.
You're so bad.
It's getting late.
As the night continues, Jamie suggests that they spend the night together like they used to as friends. She puts on one of Chris's shirts, and they lie in bed together. Chris spends the entire night thinking about making a move, but he never does. Eventually, both of them simply fall asleep. The next day, Jamie talks with Darla and admits that she practically gave Chris every possible hint, but he still never made a move. She begins wondering if maybe she is not as attractive as the women Chris dates in Los Angeles. At the same time, Chris tells Clark everything that happened. He explains that he could not make a move because of their long history together, and because he is afraid of what could happen if things do not work out. He decides that the best solution is to walk away, and even books a flight back to Los Angeles.
Maybe I just don't compare to these LA girls.
And then suddenly it just hits me.
As they're going, they spot Dusty flirting with a nurse and singing the exact same song he performed for Jamie. Chris confronts him and Dusty admits that Jamie is just another girl to him and that he is only interested in getting revenge because she never would have dated him back in high school. This makes Chris angry. While Clark is driving, Chris suddenly grabs the steering wheel and causes the car to hit several signs. After apologizing, he explains that he cannot allow Dusty to hurt Jamie and that she deserves better than another selfish guy. The two rush to Jamie's house, but her father, who's still angry about the previous night's chaos, tells Chris that Jamie is currently with Dusty. Chris immediately heads to the local church. At the church, Dusty is performing Christmas songs for a group of children, while Jamie watches from the audience. Chris pulls Jamie backstage and reveals everything Dusty told him about using her for revenge. Jamie responds by saying that Dusty has been saying similar things about Chris. Soon, Dusty invites them to join him on stage. Instead, Chris loses his temper and attacks him in front of all the children. The fight quickly gets broken up. Dusty begins acting like the victim. Jamie becomes angry with Chris, and the children start cheering for Dusty. Defeated and embarrassed, Chris returns home, packs his suitcase, and heads for the bus station. While waiting, he drinks heavily. When the bus finally arrives, he is so drunk that he gets thrown off. Afterward, Chris goes to the local bar to drink even more. There, he sees Jamie and Dusty together. He approaches Jamie and tries to apologize, but she refuses to listen. She tells him to stop blaming everything on Dusty because Dusty is her friend. At that moment, Dusty tells Jamie that he wants to take their relationship to the next level. Jamie gently rejects him, explaining that she simply does not have romantic feelings for him. Furious, Dusty storms out and complains that she still does not want him even after he wrote a song for her. Once Dusty leaves, Jamie asks Chris why he keeps interfering in her life. Chris finally snaps and tells her that now she knows how it feels because she has been doing the exact same thing to him since 6th grade. Their argument quickly escalates, and Jamie punches Chris and he is thrown out of the bar.
You have fun being the girl who peeked in.
And stay out.
Chris returns to Los Angeles. When he arrives home, he is horrified to find Samantha waiting for him inside. She immediately starts singing one of her songs, but Chris stops her and tells her clearly that he is not interested in her. Samantha responds by shocking him with a taser, but Chris manages to overpower her. He firmly tells her that his life is not a joke and that the only woman he truly loves is Jamie. Realizing what he really wants, Chris immediately returns to New Jersey and goes straight to Jamie's house. There, he finally confesses everything. He tells Jamie that he loves her, has always loved her, and wants to marry her. The two share a kiss while the 3 kids from the hockey game watch nearby with disgust.